In the top stories, Ministry of National Security warns about SKN visa approval scam. Double doses of Russian vaccine to continue in Guyana, and COVID success stories in Asian countries face new threat. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday newscast. Today is Tuesday, the 18th of May, 2021. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, the Ministry of National Security is alerting the public of a fake visa approval letter being sent to persons who want to enter the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. According to a statement issued on Monday, the scammers behind this document are posing as officials from the Immigration and Passport Office and are attempting to extract payment from persons who receive the letter. The statement says the Ministry of National Security takes St. Kitts and Nevis passport and visa fraud very seriously and will work with its national security counterparts in other territories to end fraudulent practices. The statement says through proper channels, applying for a St. Kitts and Nevis visa is done completely online. Persons should visit evisa.stkittsnevisonline.com to access the application process. The Ministry of Education has embarked on an outreach program featuring school meetings that will sensitize parents and guardians of primary school-aged children to the new enhanced curriculum. Francil Morris, the Deputy Chief Education Officer, explained the reason for these sessions as he addressed those in attendance at one of the most recent sessions held at the Beach Allen Primary School.
The Ministry of Education has embarked upon a number of sessions for parents and guardians as it relates to our enhanced curriculum that is being piloted currently on grades 4 and 6. We have to make sure that whatever we do, our education is relevant and so that we can provide support to all of our students.
The enhanced curriculum was designed to assist the Ministry of Education in achieving Policy Goal 3.2, which seeks to strengthen the quality and relevance of education at all levels to improve student outcomes. Minister of Education, the Honorable John L. Powell, has said that the Ministry of Education is committed to engaging parents and guardians throughout St. Kitts and Nevis on any new initiatives that are being implemented within the schools. The Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine is engaging the creative side of students with the launch of its Bling Your Lab Coat competition. Patrice Bernier, Senior Lab Technician and Head of the Medical Laboratory Professionals Committee at Ross University, spoke with ZIZ News about the purpose of this contest.
It's a creative competition, so we want to see some creative lab coats made of different materials, different fabrics, whatever, your imagination can come up with. That is what we are hoping to see.
The competition, which runs from May 11 to June 30, is open to students from early childhood to secondary school. Registration forms must be submitted by Monday, May 24. The students will be required to submit a photo or video of them creating or decorating a lab coat that is inspired by the important role of this personal protective equipment in the continued fight against COVID-19. The top placing entries will earn cash prizes. According to a statement from Ross University, although Medical Professionals Lab Week was celebrated in April, this competition forms part of that observance to raise awareness for the work done by laboratory technicians and to expose the nation's children to all the possibilities in science. We now move to news on the regional scene. As manufacturers work to deliver single-dose Sputnik V vaccines to several countries, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony has announced that to ensure maximum efficacy, Guyana will continue to administer 2 doses of the vaccine. Tamika Rodney has the details.
Thus far, India and Venezuela have been earmarked to receive single doses of the Russian Sputnik V vaccine as both countries struggle with the rise in cases and deaths of coronavirus. The Russian manufacturers of the shots have also developed Sputnik Light, citing that the first dose can be enough to protect persons from the virus since it has demonstrated a 79.4% efficacy, similar to that of the Chinese Sinopharm jabs. According to Russian health officials, the data was recorded 28 days after the injection was administered as part of the country's mass vaccination program between December 5, 2020 and April 15, 2021. On the sidelines of the launch of the PEPFAR initiative on Friday, the Health Minister, Dr. Frank Anthony, was asked about the possibility of the single dose being used to inoculate the remaining adult population locally.
For now, we are going to do both doses. Sputnik Light basically is the first dose, but we want to make sure that people have the maximum efficacy, and that's why we are doing both doses. People are not sure about the robustness of the immune response. So whether it would last for 6 months or how long it would last. But if you do both doses, we know for sure that you will get a better response, and it would be more robust and it would stay longer.
Government has ordered 200,000 doses of the Sputnik V vaccine, which has been used to inoculate a portion of the country's adult population. A purchase of an additional 600,000 vials has also been made. The vaccines procured to date amount to 205,537 vials of a 2-dose vaccine taken within 3 weeks. Meanwhile, 67,537 doses of the vaccine arrived on Monday at the Chetty Jagan International Airport. This will be used to administer first and second doses of the vaccine to eligible adults. Tamika Rodney reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
In Trinidad and Tobago, consumption of alcohol in a public place, outdoor sports, or exercise in public spaces are all prohibited during the current state of emergency. This after the emergency powers regulations were published on Sunday evening. Sunil Lala reports.
Contravenes the emergency powers regulations commits an offence and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $250,000 and to imprisonment for 6 months. The regulations dated May 16, 2021 does not have an end date and states that it shall have effect during the period of public emergency. Several activities are prohibited, including gatherings of 5, being at any workplace unless specified under exemptions, public parties or fetes, and operating a bar or restaurants. Also prohibited is the consumption of alcohol in a public place, as well as participating in outdoor sports or exercise in public places. Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi explains why outdoor exercise is not being allowed.
Because we're dealing with a culture, our culture, that is hard to manage in the ingenious ways in which people seek to find exceptions to themselves. Unfortunately, in this circumstance, running, walking, hiking, exercising, all had to be managed with one blanket approval.
The regulations also has provisions for the SCA exams, stating that the minister may permit educational establishments to be open for the purpose of conducting any exam. Religious institutions are prohibited from conducting in-person activities except for funerals and weddings, which are limited to 10 persons, but can conduct service via live streaming or recording. The regulations state no person shall be outside of their private dwelling, including a motor vehicle, ship or vessel, during 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. without the authorization of the police commissioner. It adds that where a police officer considers that a number of people gathered together are in contravention of the regulations, the officer may, in addition to his powers of arrest, charge or disperse the gathering and may use reasonable force if needed.
The regulations do permit the Trinidad and Tobago Police and the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force, within the parameters of law, to engage in causing compliance in any place. That is both in public and in private.
The document also lists what sectors will be allowed to operate during the state of emergency, among them a wide range of essential services. Sonolala, TTT News.
Internationally, several East Asian countries cited for success in controlling the pandemic are now grappling with their worst outbreaks. Taiwan, widely praised as a success for its handling of COVID-19, reported 335 new cases on Monday in a record single-day rise. Al Jazeera's Rob McBride reports.
Supermarket shelves emptied by panic buying. Streets and businesses quiet, while coronavirus testing sites are busy dealing with increased demand. They're scenes normally associated with other parts of the world, not Taiwan, considered a model example of how to contain the pandemic until now. A sudden spike in new coronavirus cases linked to this airport hotel used by airline crews has led to clusters detected across the island, which has now virtually closed its borders.
Non-citizens without residence permits will be prevented from entering Taiwan. We will also suspend travelers from transferring through the country.
This was the same health minister who led an event last summer to celebrate Taiwan's apparent victory in keeping the pandemic out. Still small compared with other places, this outbreak of hundreds of cases is a worrying trend for an island used to single-digit or even 0 new cases per day. It's a sharp reminder of how East Asia, often applauded for controlling the pandemic, is still vulnerable to the coronavirus and its developing variants, especially given the relatively slow rollout of vaccines in places like here, South Korea, and its neighbors. Vietnam had also been recording relatively few cases from the start of the pandemic, but now is grappling with its worst outbreak. And the region's main financial hubs of Hong Kong and Singapore are also finding they're not immune. Plans to resume flights within a travel bubble between the two cities have had to be delayed a second time. Many Asian neighbors eager to reopen like better vaccinated countries, but aware of how quickly their own infection rates could surge if they do. Rob McBride, Al Jazeera, Seoul.
And now for the weather. Present weather is fair. Winds are gentle from the east at 11 miles per hour. Seas are moderate with waves not exceeding 5 feet. The weather forecast for today predicts partly sunny and hazy conditions with a slight chance of showers. Tonight is expected to be fair to partly cloudy with a slight chance of brief passing overnight showers. Sunset today will be at 6:37 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow at 5:38 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.